Came to the conclusion that to live a fulfilled life, we make four big commitments: to a spouse and a family, to a vocation, to a philosophy or faith, and to a community. Now, only one of these commitments comes with a big ceremony at the beginning, the marriage. But in some sense, we are making a commitment and having a ceremony in honor of all those commitments. We happen to live in a community that makes commitment making hard. We live in a society filled with decommitment devices: the internet, our watches, our phones. How do you make a lifelong commitment if you can't keep your attention for more than 30 seconds on one thing? We have a culture, and I teach in college, we have a culture of FOMO, fear of missing out. If you commit to one thing, you'll miss all the other goodies down the road. We have a culture of fear. I know a lot of people who are paralyzed by indecision because they're afraid of making the wrong commitment. We have a culture of autonomy, that we should be self-contained creatures true to our inner selves. And we also have a false definition of freedom. We think freedom is keeping options open, living in a life that's unencumbered and preserving room for future choices. But to me, I found in my life, that's a recipe for befrazzlement, a state of being harried, multitasking distraction that a lot of us live in a lot of the time. And one of the things I've really thought in the last few weeks is that if you spend your years keeping your options open, you'll lead an impotent, fragmented life. You'll wander about in the indeterminacy of your own passing feelings and changeable heart. Life will just be a series of temporary moments, not an accumulating, building flow of accomplishments. You'll never be all in for anyone or any path because your eyes will always be wandering over to some other possibility. You'll lay waste to your powers, scattering them in all directions. And the effect of having a lot of people like that, we have a fragmented and isolated society. When many people live a life where arm's length to their commitments, we have loneliness and public fragmentation, polarization in our politics. You contribute to social isolation that we see around us, which leads to rising suicide, addiction rates, rising mental illness, greater inequality, falling social trust, strained family bonds, and a loss of national cohesion. So when you think about it, to make commitments in this culture, you have to buck the surrounding culture. You have to be a little countercultural. And you have to go after the higher freedom that comes when you've chained yourself to a political cause or a cultural cause or a group of people or a philosophy or faith. It's our restraints that liberate us for a higher freedom. You have to chain yourself to years of piano practice if you want to have the freedom to really play well. As the pastor Tim Keller puts it, freedom is not so much the absence of restrictions as finding the right ones.